man, this Louisiana hot sauce. Put live. We downtown Alexandria, NA. You feel me? And I got none other with me. My partner Jarvis. You feel me? Putting it down G style. Been putting it down, man, since little kids, bro. I ain't lying, man. Running through Evergreen. You feel me? Hey, man, it's a pleasure having you on, man. You know what I'm saying? Listen to me out here, man, on the podcast, bro. You feel me? And like I was telling Dominique, you know what I'm saying? Like, you and him, bro, you guys are basically what I like and what I'm trying to do with the podcast, basically, because you boys started from the bottom, and now y'all, I feel like y'all boys at the top, you know what I'm saying? At the top of y'all, man. Y'all did adversity and went through that, you understand? Right. And that's what I want you to, I don't want you to, I want you to tell your story, basically. You know what I'm saying? I want you to begin, and we're going to take it back to the Peabody days. You know what I'm saying? Going to Peabody, balling, you know how it used to go down, man. Like, let us know, bro.
Peabody, man, that's where a lot of stuff started at as far as, you know. I had been around certain things, but at Peabody, it's like they had to step the game, you know. Be fresh, be fly, but also it's about education too, you know. But while I was at Peabody, man, I got plugged in with some people, friendships, and things just started, you know, I just started engaging more in the streets when I was at Peabody. Yeah. I had left a certain side of town, you know, whenever I was Evergreen, Woodside area, and moving to the Garden District, you know. And
what's the Garden District? Sorry.
Okay, the GD, you know, the Garden District. Shout out to the Garden District. Anything on the north, I consider the Garden District, the north, everything. But you know, Vance, Hill Street, Rensselaer, Thornton Polk Street, Kilpatrick, all of that, you know. And those times I end up gaining some friendships with people who was over there on Essex Street, Devon Street, Monroe, Cook, Kent Street, Louisiana, Garden. And that's kind of like, you know, when I went on that side of town, we was outside. I always tell people it's different about like the sides from the north and the south. On the north side, everybody outside, you know. Everybody outside walking and doing their thing outside. And I had a little bit more freedom too when I was over there on that side. One thing about my story is because how I was raised by my grandparents. My mother and father was in the picture, but my grandparents raised me, and I always had this feeling of being a part of. And I could think back even in Evergreen, I had so many role models and people who kind of just raised me up in the streets. And when I got over there, you know, I had my partner Mike D. His mama, Miss Sheila, rest in peace to Mike D. His mama kind of took me in and raised me. Some other people, my little cousin KK, his mama raised me. You know, like everywhere I went, I was being raised, and a lot of stuff was being instilled in me. And I was just seeing and soaking up everything. And Peabody, that's really, you know, it was petty hustling before then, but that's when I really started hustling. High school days.
So then, you know, like, you know, a lot of us, you know what I'm saying, we went to college and, you know what I'm saying, started cutting up, you know what I'm saying, elsewhere, bad words, like, a lot of us went to bad right?
I didn't go to college straight from high school, you know. I ended up going to the military. I ain't last long though. I ain't last long. I'm talking about that career was short, you know, because I still had the mentality, even because I ended up getting stationed at Fort McPherson, Georgia, which is like downtown Atlanta. I had some friends and family out there, so I still was connected to the streets. And because of certain behaviors and certain things I was engaged in, I ended up catching a charge like after maybe a year and a half. So that little term ended real quick with the military. But when I came back,
You came back today.
to Alexandria. At this time, who my wife is now, she was going to Dillon up in New Orleans. So I ended up making a move to New Orleans, and I went to SUNY, Southern University of New Orleans. And it was on again for me out there. New Orleans, that's why I was working on Bourbon Street at the Royal Semester. And man, everywhere I go, it seems like I network. You know, I get connected with people, and a lot of times it's kind of like today with the positive stuff I'm doing. I always look back on my lifestyle and be like, hey, it's the same stuff I was doing back then, like networking, building relationships. You know what I'm saying? The difference is today, those relationships and the networking I'm doing, I ain't got no consequences. But after my wife got pregnant with Junior, I ended up coming back home. It seemed like every time I go out somewhere, something would happen, I end up right back in Alexandria, home sweet home. Love it to death. But at the same time, the opportunity is so limited to where I always revert back to my old ways and just let me figure out how I can, I go right back to what I do. And when I came home, that seemed like when the most, like when I started getting in more trouble, I started going to the penitentiary. I started catching a bunch of charges. I always had what I know now, like as an addiction. But back then I didn't see it. That's when I started engaging in other things, like using it, all types of drink, pills, doing other stuff too. Heavier stuff like speedballing. And a lot of times people, when they look at me, they be like, I never knew, And I was one of them quiet storms. I always got out the way, isolated myself, Even times whenever people thought I was it was like, where you been? You must have moved. It's like either I was locked up, or I was somewhere isolated to where I ain't want people to see what was really going on. And I think whenever I isolate myself like that, it's like my using just got heavier and heavier. So I took a couple trips back and forth to the penitentiary.
You said like how you, like I seen, you know what I'm saying? You say you went to the can a few times. I know this drip. I done been a few times myself. You know what I'm saying? I done been all over Louisiana, bro.
Right.
Like when you got out, I hate to say the second time, but once you got out and realized, like, hey, bro, I'm not going back to the cans. You know what I'm saying? Like, what steps did you take to keep that going?
Man, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Every time I went, I felt like I ain't going back there. I came home with those dreams and those hopes of I'm gonna do something different. The last time that I came home, which was in, I think like the summer of 17. While I was in there, I had heard, cause I knew Dominic, and I heard he ain't got his stuff together. He ended up getting married to my wife, best friend, one of her best friends, Angel. And I was like, Dominique got married, like Dominique doing good. And just because of me knowing him, I didn't know what happened.
Right.
So it's kind of like when I came home, I went right back to what I was doing. But I had got so deep into, I guess, using. By the time I did need some help, I knew somebody who I knew from, personal experience, growing up with somebody that I knew from the trenches, went through a bunch of stuff. It's like I had somebody I can reach out to. Something had happened where I ended up catching another charge, and I was up for revocation, and it was like, I was at revocation for my time. I got blessed. They said you can go to drugs. First time, my first opportunity to take drug court, so I took it. I still wouldn't get clean, steady getting in trouble for dirty drug screens. Finally, the counselors and the staff stepped in and was like, you gotta go to treatment. I was bucking the system. And I remember I reached out to Dominique and he was like, man, I just been waiting on you to say you ready. It's like, everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. And really and truly, I wanted to stop using, but I ain't want to stop doing what I was doing.
Right.
I ain't want to stop the lifestyle of hustling because I didn't know no other way.
Right.
And
I want that bread, but I don't need that time.
I don't need that time. So again, I'm back to square one. But while I was in treatment, let me talk about this. I was in treatment. It was the life changing event that made me say, man, I'm gonna stick with just staying clean and staying out the way. I had visitation with my wife and my 3 kids, and my youngest son was crying. Like when they was about to leave visit, he was crying. My oldest son was like, man, stop crying. He'll be home soon. And my youngest son, Jay, said, whatever, then you'll be crying too. You don't like when daddy leaves. And Junior, which is my oldest, who experienced everything I've been through today, he said, shit, I'm used to daddy being gone. And they left, and I went back in my room and I just sat there for a minute, and that was the first time I really heard my son say that. Like, I'm used to my daddy being gone. I'm used to my daddy messing up. I'm used to my daddy not being here for the family type, you know? And I really internalized that shit.
Right, exactly.
And I said, look, man, if I can go ahead and just make it through this little program, I'm gonna put all my energy into staying clean, doing something different. You know, I connected with Dominique, and all he did was say, hey, we got this going on, they got these. You know, I had to occupy my time with something positive. Right. Because when I wasn't occupying my time with something positive, I was going to places that I was used to going. Back on the one-way of Overton. Right there by House, on Overton and Washout. Right. Back on Colonia off Monroe. You know, I was doing the same thing because that's all I do. Go check on your partners. See, the thing was, I ain't realized even though my partners love me, they ain't know how to love me. You know what I'm saying? So, for my lifestyle and the type of experience we got in the streets, the love shown by, hey, I'm gonna give you something. Here go the tag, right? You hurt? Here goes something to get your stomach right. You know what I'm saying? So I had to really just relearn how to just live and focus on something different instead of always having other distractions.
Right. That's the dope part, you feel me? Like once you put in your mind that I'm gonna live this way, you know what I'm saying? Like that's another thing. Like the people around you, how do they perceive us? Like now, you know what I'm saying? Looking at the new Jordan, like bro,
I think, like at first, cause I got almost 5 years clean. And the first couple years, people, I feel like they ain't know. Like I seen Jarvis take 2 steps forward before, but he always take 10 steps backwards. So everybody was kind of like waiting. I had a couple homeboys who still came around, was like, hey, this good, this what I got, you need this. And I kept having to tell them, like, bro, I ain't living like that. I think after time and space and them seeing me doing something different, that's when they finally realized, like, well, maybe he is trying to do something different, you know. And then once I started working, which the first 2 years I ain't worked because of my history, because of my experience with trying to fill out job applications, getting denied. It's like I wasn't working, so people really was like, shit, Jarvis still probably doing his thing, he just clean. I finally got plugged in with some people, and they was like, hey man, they hiring at this treatment facility.
yeah.
And at first I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do that, you know, because I had excuses like, who gonna watch the kids, you know?
Yeah.
I got this to do.
Nigga ain't want to be all the way locked in like that.
Because I still had the reservations of, hey man, if something go wrong, I'm gonna have to feed my kids, you know? I still wanted that lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I think when I got the little job as a transportation driver, It gave me like a purpose. It gave me a sense of belonging. I felt good about myself. I was picking up people from I'm talking about everywhere in the state of Louisiana and bringing them to treatment.
Yeah.
On them rides from picking them up from New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, getting them back to treatment. They telling me about their struggles. I'm telling them about mine. I'm giving them hope. You know what I'm saying? I started feeling good about myself.
Y'all really confiding in each other or something.
So I was the first contact with individuals going to treatment. And I had a supervisor, Mr. Victor White. He was like, go and get your CIT. Finish pursuing your CIT, which is becoming a counselor in training for addiction. Because I had enrolled in school. He was like, do that. As soon as you're done, man, I'll plug you in and get you locked in as a counselor. So it's like doors started opening up as soon as I took the job.
Right.
I finished the job. I ended up graduating my CIT. I think a month later, I was working in Red River as a counselor, first case. I had another place reach out to me and wanted me to do outreach in the community. Class is like healthy living for all. They got a bunch of resources, a bunch of prevention resources for people. They do a lot of testing, trying to get our community tested so we'll know our status. They was like, hey man, you're doing some good things. They wanted me to work for them. So I went from no job to having 2 jobs. And after so long, like that. Now, I told you I was in drug court. And after I got out of drug court, I started working. And then next thing you know, the director from drug court reached out to me and was like, hey, we want a CIT to come start working on that. So the same drug court that I was in, the same judges who was telling me what to do, who had convicted me, gave me time before and put me on paper and parole, them same people reached out to me and said, hey, we want you to come. Right. So I started working for drug court.
Beautiful, bro.
So I started working for drug court. So now I had 3 jobs, you know. And it's just been beautiful, bro. Right. Like to be able to, because a lot of people, when you're up in that field, you see these people dressed up a certain way. You know, they don't really look like us. And I believe because of them opening doors for me and people like Dominique, it make people more comfortable approaching us. Right. I think we're more current, relatable. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of them know us from the community. So they gonna come to us firsthand and be like, hey, this is what's going on with us, man. Open up about this stuff that we really don't be want to talk about. So I love it, man. Since then I done rolled back in school, so I'm at Northwestern now. Negatives, going to get my social work degree. Because since my little journey being in this field, I done realized like I don't want to work with addiction. I want to work with mental health too, because you know it's both. There's 2 sides to that coin. A lot of people who got addiction got mental health issues, and then the stigma so bad. Like when you see our people out there on drugs or walking around talking to themselves, you automatically say, "Let me get away from that." You know, really and truly, that's the people we need to grab on to. Right? You know? And they past just like my past was their biggest asset. But we just need those opportunities like that was given to me. So that's what I do now. I say, shit, how can I make sure individuals empower themselves, get themselves clean, work with individuals, show them compassion, have a bunch of understanding, and also know that people ain't gonna do nothing perfect. I ain't never did nothing perfect. Trial and error. Yep, but thank God I connected to some people that had faith in me. I think they had more faith in me than I had in myself in the beginning. So it's been a wonderful journey, man. I really wouldn't change nothing.
I'm glad you said that, bro, because that's what made you grow, and that's what molded you to the man that you are right now. And I appreciate, bro, you and Dominique, bro, from the bottom of my heart, bro, Because that's what this podcast is all about. You know what I'm saying? Really based on you guys, you know what I'm saying? And y'all story, right? Y'all took it from the bottom, came straight to the top. You know what I'm saying?
We appreciate you for shit. A lot of people out here ain't showing like on these type of stories or talk about this type of stuff to show the positivity.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of negativity going on in our community. You know, that's where the focus be at. What happened? Who got shot? Who going to jail? They not focused on the hundreds of stories of people who they made it, who didn't survive, who didn't change their lives. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
we appreciate you for exposing all that type of stuff.
Right. I appreciate it. I'm saying that's exactly what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? We recording live, like I say, downtown Alexandria, bro, the A, and bro, this Louiziana hot sauce, man, coming from you live, man. We out, bro.